Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the Boomer Live. Of course, it is your favorite IPL show here. We're going to be covering almost every team and every game from now till the end of the IPL, just to plug that right there. But what are two games? There was double header Saturday, and we had two big games of cricket. Of course, to start off with, we had the Kolkata Knight Riders Sandeep Bani's team take on the Punjab Kings. Of course, DLS method had to come to play. Very surprising that it has been raining in Chandigarh during peak April, and that's very weird. That's something which we will talk about, and we'll talk about global warming as well, how it's been affecting our country. But before that, after that actually, Lucknow Super Giants went out and played the Delhi Capitals, and of course it was Lucknow Super Giants had a thumping win over Delhi Capitals. One must say that pitch over there was really tough to even score 160, but then scoring 193 on that deck, you gotta give it to the Lucknow Super Giants team. They were phenomenal in terms of their batting. Nicholas Pooran really coming in, playing with an impact knock, and also you have to give credit to Ayush Badoni and Krishnappa Gautam as well, who played some big shots towards lateral end to get them to that total. At one stage, you felt like, okay, this can be a little tricky, but Kyle Mayers, man, I think Khalil Ahmed will be really kicking himself today, because that one catch could have possibly turned the fortunes for the Delhi Capitals. But nonetheless, we are here with Sandeep Bani. Sandeep Bani, let's talk about the Lucknow versus Delhi game first up. Then we'll go to the other game. Uh, what a game of cricket, isn't it? Because that was a great start for the Delhi Capitals. 5 overs, 25 runs, 1 wicket, had KL Rahul in the kitty. Where do you reckon they went wrong? You reckon that was a catch which turned around the entire match?
I think it was definitely the catch because once they dropped the catch, Kyle Mills sort of got a move on, and it was nice to see that the ball was swinging early on, and then both the paces were really enjoying to bowl in that surface. I think Chetan Sakaria early on in the first 2 overs that he bowled, he was spot on, but then in the later half today he was found wanting. But once again, I think I would say it was that Kyle Mayer's innings that set up the innings, and then you always know that when you have Nicholas Puran coming in at number six, the batting goes deep. And Nicholas Puran coming in at number six scored that cameo, and after that there was Krishnappa Gautam and definitely Ayush Badoni finishing the job for the team. It was an all-round performance. I think they did not have to depend on one particular player to get the job done. Kyle Mayers chipped in. Major contributions were from Kyle Mayers and definitely Mark Wood. I mean, what a spell of bowling that was. The first 2 overs especially. Because, if Delhi would have had wickets in hand, they are a top order team, Delhi Capitals. I think they could have got the job done if they could have had wickets in hand towards the later half of the innings. But
Yeah.
what a spell from Mark Wood, and I think the spinners contributed in their own way, both Krishnappa Gautam and Ravi Bishnoi as well. And Bishnoi especially chipping in with crucial wickets. All in all, it was a game that went completely in the wrong direction for Delhi Capitals, and I think they will be gutted by this loss.
I mean, that's interesting because for me, I personally felt that particular knock of Kyle Mayers, it really took away the gas out of Delhi Capitals, right? You talk about deflating the confidence, even going after the spinners, because I really thought Akshar Patel's and Kuldeep Yadav's that 8 overs was going to be extremely crucial. Though Kuldeep Yadav did pick up wickets, Akshar Patel did pick up Kyle Myers, but then they also went for plenty of runs. And that was the difference over there. If you look at the larger scheme of things, them going for plenty of runs really meant that it was going to be really hard for the Delhi Capitals to really put an authority and stop them.
Yeah, I think it was that Kyle Mayers innings for sure, and I think after they lost KL Rahul specifically because they lost KL Rahul early, and then Deepak Huda did not get a move on,
I
and you
mean, what
had
I'm trying to talk about is, going close to 84 runs, 83 runs, and picking up 2 wickets at the 8 overs is more than 10 runs per over, right? And no, not 83 runs, 73 runs rather. 73 runs
73. Yeah.
and in 8 overs and picking up 2 wickets is not something which you expect of your spinners from this deck. In this deck, you at least expect to go for 60 to 54 and pick up 4 wickets maybe instead of 2 wickets. 2 wickets each. That would have done them a lot better. And also, someone like a Chetan Sakaria going for 53 runs on that deck. I know Chetan Sakaria is an experienced campaigner now, but you still expect a lot out of him to not go for plenty of runs. Because let's talk about the pitch. The pitch wasn't the easiest of pitches to bat on. It was good from one end, from the other end the ball was sticking quite a lot, but Chetan Sakaria just couldn't pull it off.
Yeah, and I think the pitch was, I think something around 170 would have been par on this pitch. And I think at one point, Delhi Capitals looked to be restricting the Lucknow Super Giants when they chipped in with regular wickets at regular intervals. I think they were at 157 for 4 at the or 5 at the end of 18 overs, and then the last 2 overs went for 35. I think that is one of the more major reasons that took the sort of game out of Delhi Capitals' hands. I think you definitely feel deflated from reaching a position where the opposition team is 177 at the end of 18 overs. You expect the maximum that he can go, or I think 177, 182. Even the commentators were saying that 180 would have been ideal for Lucknow Super Giants to reach from that point onwards, and they managed to score 35 and went in and scored 192. I mean, they were happy to pull them back after the start Kyle Mayers put in after the first 5 overs. Kyle Mayers just went about his business, and I totally agree with you. 8 overs, 73 runs from two players who are constantly representing the Indian team was a bit of a letdown, especially because Krishnappa Gautam and Ravi Bishnoi both, I think, combinedly bowled 8 overs and went for around 50, 54, 56 runs at an economy of 7. And I think in this pitch, if you would have asked me at the start, I would have said that it was going to be the spinners' pitch, and spinners were going to pick up most of the wickets, but it
Absolutely.
turned out to be different. And also, yeah, I mean, it was definitely, we were expecting Lucknow to get in a pitch which was going to be a bit batting friendly as well, not just support the bowlers like we saw in the India versus New Zealand game. Definitely the curators did their job, and we got a game on our hands. I think this was a very quality pitch to play cricket, basically, because
I mean,
you
it
had
was a
everything
good
in it.
pitch. It was a good pitch because it had good amount of applying yourself. You could score a lot. You could score a lot of runs, but I thought 190 was a lot of runs to concede. You can't really blame Delhi's batting because, and at the same time, let's talk about Mark Wood, right? We'll talk about him, but before that, you still would want to restrict your team to 160, 170 at max. 190, I thought, was 25 too many for them to concede, and that's something which you don't expect from Delhi. I know it's an inexperienced bowling attack. You don't have an overseas bowler. Do you reckon that's something they did wrong not to go in with an overseas pace? I know they didn't have anybody today. I think they had no option. Sorry, they had no option other than to go with the Indian bowling attack. So maybe once Andre Nokia returns, this is going to be a much better bowling attack. Maybe he can come in place of someone like a Riley Russo, and that could make way for an Indian overseas batter. And at the same time, Chetan Sakaria can make way because Khalil Ahmed, I think, has been having a phenomenal time even in the domestic circuit. I remember in the last season, one of the games in the Syed Mustaq Ali Trophy where Khalil Ahmed went on to defend 10 runs of the last over. So he has been a much better bowler. So that's where I think the impact of these bowlers will come into play even better. And then Kuldeep Yadav and Akshar Patel will be really hoping once they go back to Arun Jaitley Stadium back at home, they come into party even more. They try to actually tie down those 8 overs and pick up wickets consistently.
Yeah, definitely. I will totally agree with you on that. But I won't still prefer dropping a Chetan Sakaria. I would still have Mukesh Kumar dropped from the team
You
because,
reckon so?
uh,
Because I would rather have. When you have two left arm paces, you can drop one. And Mukesh Kumar has been brilliant. You saw the opening spell, he was very unlucky not to pick up a wicket there.
yeah, but I mean, even the game was in phases, in two parts for Chetan Sakaria. He had considered just 12 runs of the first 2 overs, and then picked up a wicket as well. And I think the last 2 overs he went on to concede 41 runs, which was very uncharacteristic from a player like Chetan Sakaria. And I am sure that he's going to bounce back because towards the lead up to the IPL, I think he was in good form, and he has been one of the bowlers that can really nail those Yorkers towards the death overs. We could not see it today, but I'm sure that he'll come to the party sooner. But yeah, Mukesh Kumar as well. Taking nothing away from him, he has been spectacular for Bengal
Yeah.
in the Ranji Trophy, and he has done immensely well in the domestic circuit as well, other domestic tournaments as well. So I think it's a good call up for him. But I think once Anrik Norke makes way, I think he'll need to be the one who gets dropped from the team.
Interesting, interesting. Because I think for even for Delhi Capitals, I thought at some stage, especially while batting as well, they should apply a little more better. I know 195 is a lot of runs, but I think talking about Delhi Capitals batting, I think that's very important to talk about it. That spell from Mark Wood, they got off to a flying start, 4 overs, 40 runs, but then Mark Wood coming and breaking the back of the Delhi Capitals batting attack. Let's talk about Mark Wood. We've seen him do that in the World Cup last time. We've seen him do that in international circuit. Last season they did not have Mark Wood. Now when you have Mark Wood, that pace, that extra 5 kilometers, did really trouble all their batters, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean Mark Wood. We were speaking very highly of Mark Wood, and it was a great miss for Lucknow Super Giants last time around. But I think Dushmanta Chamida came in, and it was a spectacular performance from Dushmanta Chamida in the last season, because nobody would have expected Chamida to go on that way for Lucknow Super
Yeah,
Giants, because
yeah,
he
yeah.
hasn't been very successful for Sri Lanka itself. So,
But look
talking
at
about
Marco,
Mark Wood,
right?
I
Picking
think,
up
yeah.
five wickets, man. That's a load of wickets. Or
and
you're
and
playing
and
IPL
I
after
think
too
the way
long.
he picked it up, I think it was the way he was bowling beautifully to get
He was
Prithvi
bowling with
Shaw in
pace.
that
I
form.
remember
Yeah,
exactly getting Prithvi Shaw, getting Sarfaraz Khan, bouncing him out. I mean, you're talking about some of the
and
most
also
informed
the
batters
ball
right
to
now.
Mitchell Marsh. I think the ball to
Mitchell
Mitchell
Marsh.
Marsh was a beauty. It was a great delivery.
Absolutely. Now, all of a sudden, we wrote off this Lucknow bowling attack because of no Mohsin Khan. Avesh Khan on the surfaces look even lethal. Krishnappa Gautam can be used as a decent bowler to control runs, pick up wickets. He can be an impact player throughout. Jaydev Unadkat will go for a lot of runs. That's something which is given on any IPL team. I'm really sorry, Jaydev. I really love you as a red ball bowler, but as an IPL bowler, I really don't validate him. But talk about this bowling attack now. Ravi Bishnoi, Mark Wood, Avesh Khan picked up 9 out of the 10 wickets. I mean, that's a lot of wickets, man. You talked about that team, and then all of a sudden you have got three bowlers. I mean, 9 wickets only fell, but you got three bowlers picking up majority of the wickets, and this is going to be the case for them, isn't it? Because you have plenty of bowling options. Marcus Stoinis did not bowl today, and you can maybe try in someone to come in from outside as well. I'll talk about the bowling
Yeah.
option. I think they got enough bowling options to be
Yeah,
tried out
yeah,
as well.
yeah. They have enough bowling options to play for two teams. I mean, they can divide their teams into two teams, and they'll still have 10 bowling options. I think Krunal Pandya also did not bowl today. So, and also Kyle Mayers is a very good option, that they part-time option that they can have to start off the bowling like they did for one over. I think Kyle Mayers, if he gets to ball in the middle overs as well, he can be one of those wicket taker bowlers who sort of breaks a partnership. But talking about bowlers, I think Lucknow Super Giants have lots and lots of bowlers, and I think this was one of their problems in the last season, that they did not have enough batting depth. If Krunal Pandya, like I'll say this time around as well. If okay, they demoted Nicholas Puran down the order so that he could come in and sort of go after the bowling, but they had a Krunal Pandya coming in at number four, Marcus Stoinis at number five. It's still a better team than last time around, but I would still have a Marcus Stoinis at four. I will promote, or probably a Nicholas Puran at number four, and Kunal Pandya down the order, because Kunal Pandya has not been in the best of forms. He's not bowling. They are trying to put him at number four and asking him to do the job, and I think he does not have that power game as well. If
Yeah,
you like, he can go at a stride rate of 120, 130 very fluently, but if you ask him to accelerate and go at a stride rate of 150, 160, I think that is where on a demand basis he'll struggle. So I think Krunal Pandya's position in that, and coming in at number four, is a question, because you have quality players like
yeah,
Ayush Bodoni,
yeah.
Nicholas Puran not getting to face enough deliveries. So that was one of my pointers that I wanted to bring in. And talking about the bowling department, I think, like you mentioned, Ravi Bishnoi, Avesh Khan, and Mark Wood, three of them. But I think once Quinton de Kock is back, this is going to leave them with a choice of plenty. Who are the four foreign players that you are going to play?
Yeah.
Nicholas Puran, Kyle Mayers, Marcus Stoinis, Mark Wood, and Quinton de Kock. There are five options. So I don't think Kyle Mayers should be dropped at this point, because he is giving you that opening. So I think it will be either of uh, Marcus Stoinis, maybe.
I mean, it's coming. I think Quinton de Kock walks into this team. Kyle Mayers will
No,
have to
Quinton de
sit
Kock.
out.
Quinton de Kock definitely walks into the team, but
I
whom will you
still
drop
think I'll drop Kyle Mayers.
after the performance he put in today?
Yes, unfortunately. See, I will.
It's going
Let's
to be
look
a
at the
tough call.
squad, right? I mean, let's look at the squad to understand who they have possibly. I think they've got. They've
No,
at
they
this
also have
point
Daniel Sams and other players, other all
they
rounders
have
as well.
Daniel Sams, but I'm talking about the Indian bowling contingent, right? If at all, if they have to replace Jaydev Unadkat in the future, because as Kapil also rightly mentions, two Indian left-arm bowlers going for plenty of runs. See, I don't really mind Jaydev Unadkat going for runs because he's been doing that over the years, and nothing surprises me now that Jaydev Unadkat is going for runs. It's not a new thing for me,
No,
right?
but
It's been a,
I think Abel, once if they want to get Jaydev Unadkat out of the side, I mean they can just drop Jaydev Unadkat, and even if they want, they can bring in a proper batter
let's
as well.
let's pick that lineup up and let's see who they
Yeah.
can possibly bring in the next game, right? Now you talk about someone like a Prerak Mankat. I thought he deserves a go, but then if you look at the fast bowlers there, they have not a lot of options because they did rely heavily on Mohsin Khan to come back. They have a Naveen Ullah, but Yudhvir Singh Charak is one bowler I'm very excited to see from Kashmir once again. They have a Romario Shepherd. So in my opinion, what I think what they can do is get Kyle Myers off. I know it's hard because now where else are you going to play him? You can't drop KL Rahul, right? You have to play Kyle Myers up top. That's his best
Yeah.
position. So you can't play Quinton de Kock somewhere else in the batting order as well. So on that very ground, you have to give way for Kyle Myers. It is part of cricket. In games like this, you have to take ruthless calls, or else,
Yeah,
or
but
else.
I would still put a toss up between Kyle Mayers and Marcus Stoinis because
No,
similar
no,
sort
I
of
don't think. I know Marcus Stoinis for Lucknow Super Giants haven't really done that impact which he did with Delhi
Marcus Stoinis
Capitals.
has had a very poor season in the BBL as well. I think he struggled a
Yes,
lot this
that's
time around
true.
as well. Not in the best
Marcus
of form.
Stoinis, like even Kyle Mayers or even like Mitchell Marsh, prefers opening the batting. That's one factor which you need to consider with Marcus Stoinis, especially in the T20 format. I don't know, a lot of these batters want to open the batting in T20. That's because that's the easiest place to bat in T20 cricket. Because come the middle order, with ballers actually equipping themselves with a lot more slower balls, short pitch balls, and you have to get going from ball one. A lot of batters now wants to take that extra bit of time, use the power play, get some boundaries going, and make themselves feel a lot better. And especially in conditions like India, where you're going to face a lot of spin, where Marcus Stoinis is walk into bat, it's not going to be easy for him. But then Lucknow really anticipates him as a finisher. But Ayush Badoni, once again, he has started off the IPL pretty well, very impressive. Now that's where I think Marcus Stoinis retains his position. I hope he's fit to ball because he bowled beautifully in that one day series against India. So he is fit to ball, is what I'm assuming. So Marcus Stoinis continues with his place, and Quinton de Kock walks in. He's coming up back. He's coming off 100, which he scored in the T20 format. So I don't think there's any doubt about it. And he was their leading run scorer in the last season's IPL as well, second leading run scorer rather. But he did score plenty of runs for them. So there is no doubt about it that Quinton de Kock walks into this team. Unfortunately, Mikhail Mayers have to sit out. That's what it is going to be. But let's talk about Delhi Capitals. For me, Delhi Capitals need to really find them will be tested throughout the season with high pace now for Delhi Capitals. Now teams will identify that you take out Prithvi Shaw with high pace, you take out Mitchell Marsh. Mitchell Marsh is not definitely comfortable batting in the middle of the order. We have seen him bat well at number 3, but he still prefers to open the batting. That's something which you saw through the white ball leg when he came to India as well. So maybe now that if teams are going to target Delhi Capitals, it is going to be with the pace and trying to target their body, trying to ball quick stuff at them and see how things go. Because David Warner's batting was questionable, as Kapil also mentions in the comments, that David Warner's batting wasn't the most impressive because he could have possibly upped the ante when he was batting with Riley Russo, but then he was struggling to get going. But that also has to do a lot with the pitch as well.
Yeah, I think, and at that point, David Warner, the moment I think he would have liked to get a move on, I think they lost 3 quick wickets, and I think the entire momentum just shifted out of Delhi Capitals' hands, and then they were just trying to stabilize the innings before Riley Russo and Warner could get a move on, and then again Russo got out at the worst time possible when around 800 runs were needed of 8 or little less than 8 overs. And then Robman Powell did not just look like he belonged there. It has been a case for Robman Powell with spinners, like good leg spinners. He fails to read that googly and just gets strapped on, and he just get caught on the crease. Not just for spinners, against the pacers as well. I think that
I mean,
feet
that's been the
movement is
case
something
with
he'll have
almost
to work
every
on.
West Indian player, isn't it? Over the years, we have seen West Indian players struggle immensely against spinners. And yeah, Jevin is not feeling well today, so that's why he's missing out. He's been a little tired, actually. So one of the reasons he's missed out, but he'll be there from tomorrow. But yeah, as you mentioned, maybe they can learn a lot from Ponting and Ganguly. Ponting is not going to be going easy on the Delhi team because he's like a taskmaster, right? He leads that team, though. I mean, that's one thing which we really see, right? He leads from the front. Last time you saw Rishabh Pant really getting a lot out of Ricky Ponting as well. So Ricky Ponting is not going to be happy with that performance, and that is the case with Delhi Capitals. David Warner is a commanding character as a captain, but then Ricky Ponting is the manager of this team, is the main guy. I think he's the one who calls the shots more often than not in terms of taking those decisions, and he'll be very unpleased with the way in which Delhi Capitals bowled. Their fielding was very, very below par. They let a lot of boundaries go under their legs, and also those misfields have really costed them. And also that catch going down has been extremely poor.
Yeah, definitely. I think Delhi Capitals have only themselves to blame, and they were not really in the game at any point of the time, apart from the 5 overs with the ball and 4 overs with the bat. I think that those were the only 9 overs that they were a part of this game. Other than that, the rest of the game was completely dominated by Lucknow Super Giants, which was prominently led by Kyle Mayers and Mark Wood, and I am very interested to see how they go about it because
Yeah.
if they get in Quinton de Kock in place of Kyle Mayers, I think can also they afford to drop Jaydev Unadkat and play another all rounder as well. You can probably play in a Krishnappa Gautam as a full time player. I mean, as a regular player in that playing 11, and like today, you can have Prerak Mankat as a impact substitution, and he can come in as an impact substitution in the game.
I mean, Prerak Mankad, I still think there's a long way to go for him, but I'd really like to see how they use someone like Ayush Badoni as well as he becomes even better, even
But
mature.
I going forward, I won't want to see a Krunal Pandya coming at number 4, because he had like Mumbai Indians experimented a lot with him as well in terms of batting positions.
Yeah.
Yeah, he came good in certain occasions coming in at number 4, number 5 for Mumbai. But more often than not, I would not have him bat anywhere above 6 or number 7, given the quality the other rest of the batting order has.
I mean, it's going to be interesting to see how they really go about it because Krunal Pandey's issue is now even more concerning. I know he had a very bad strike, though he remained not out, but his strike rate was a negative impact innings you can see in that innings. But when you win games, you really don't look into those kind of innings. But when you talk about his bowling as well, throughout this domestic season, he's been under par, and that's something which is going to be concerning for the Lucknow Super Giants. I don't mind him coming in number 4 because that's possibly now the best position for him to come and do a job because number 7, number 6 is not a right position for him. He's going to struggle even more. And today was one of the classic examples. But I would really want to see Nicholas Puran bat high up the order
Yeah,
because.
definitely. But the
But
moment you
you
bring in
reckon?
a
Do
Krunal
you
Pandya,
reckon now
yeah.
that the Lucknow would have actually communicated with Nicholas Puran saying that we want you just as a finisher, and that's maybe the best way we can utilize the most out of you? And he scored well today. He played an impactful innings because maybe this is what is the best we can get out of Nicholas Puran rather than entrusting him to have that 400, 450 run season.
Yeah, but I would rather prefer if they use Nicholas Puran as a number 4 player rather than using him like a Shimran Hetmeyer, that RR. I mean, Shimran Hetmeyer, the finisher, grew from Delhi Capitals itself. Once he started playing for Delhi Capitals, he was coming in at number 6 after Marcus Stoinis and then finishing the games for Delhi Capitals. He went to Rajasthan Royals. They used him as a finisher as well. He's doing well over there. No doubts about that. But I think Nicholas Puran is a better batter technically. He's more sound than Shimran Hetmeyer, and I think his record in the T20Is goes on to show that. I mean, he really excels batting at number 4 for the West Indies, and sometimes there are occasions when he comes in at number 5 and does the job as a finisher as well. But I would rather have him as my mainstay. You spend 15 crores on someone, especially when you have a batting lineup that has players like Marcus Stoinis, Ayush Badoni, who can come in at 5-6. You Delhi Capitals would have probably loved to have they have a Robman Powell, but they would have loved to have that impact of an innings that Nicholas Puran had from Robman Powell. That is what Robman Powell or a Shimran Hitmat is expected to do, come in at number 6 and finish the games for the side. But Nicholas Puran, I think he can hold one end together. I mean, he does not give away his wickets so easily. We had seen it for Sunrisers Hyderabad as well. Aiden Markram, even though last time they were Sunrisers Hyderabad did not have a very good showing, but Aiden Markram and Nicholas Puran started off the campaign winning a lot of games on strings, finishing the games for them. They were doing the job really well for them, batting at number 4 and number 5, respectively. So I think
Yeah.
Nicholas Puran is a fit at number 4, and that is exactly why I would have a Krunal Pandey at number 7. Because if Nicholas Puran comes at number 4, Marcus Stoinis at 5, Ayush Badoni at 6, you can't have Krunal Pandya before 6 in that batting lineup.
Yeah. I mean, that's something which you made sense as well because for me personally, the best way right now to utilize Kunal Pandey is number 4, but it'll be good to see him come into party a lot more. I think there's a lot of talent. I think the price tag is also weighing down on him a little bit because remember he is a heavy price player, and now if you're not getting anything out of him, you better have someone like a player like Monk and walk into that team. So I mean, they don't lose anything. If he's not going to give you overs with the ball, I don't see any option with him. Now, you're talking about an era where you have impact substitute, like for example, Krishnappa Gautam coming as an impact substitute is a clear case of how you can use them to perfection, how you can maybe bring them for even more utility. And that's why I personally think now, when you can bring in these bowlers, all rounders, proper all rounders, and proper batters, then these bits and pieces cricketers become very irrelevant, and that is something which we are seeing even more. Yesterday, I felt Shivam Dubey should have been substituted off, or Shivam Dubey shouldn't have gotten that opportunity. Now, I think that's going to be a major factor to be considered or to be concerned with, isn't it? Because these bits and pieces cricketers slowly they're going to be wiped away because of this impact substitute rule.
Yeah, definitely. And I think Lucknow Super Giants were the first team in this IPL to get an impact sub in the first innings itself. I think in
Yeah.
the other three games we have seen right from the start when Tushar Deshpande came in at the start of the second innings, teams went on following Dhoni, and they were getting in the impact sub later on. But once again, Gautam Gambhir thinking out of the box, and I think this is exactly how impact subs should be used. He should not be your okay. He can be your specialized batter. If you need a specialized batter, he can just add depth to your batting, or he can add depth to your bowling. But if you can use an impact sub in the form of a player like a Krishnappa Gautam, who can come in, score, play a cameo with the bat, and then give you 4 overs with the ball, that is the best utility you can manage from any impact substitution out there in the market. And I think Lucknow Super Giants, following today's game, I think tomorrow we'll get to see, and following today's game, I think we'll get to see a lot of players coming in the first innings itself.
I mean, it's very interesting that there's not been a single game where they've not used an impact sub. So far, it's been 3 games and three games. You saw all impact subs being
See,
used.
Abel, it's an added advantage, right? At the end
I
of the day,
think
you have
so.
an added
Yeah,
batter, you have
yeah.
an added bowler.
I was a little shocked. I mean, we are going to be talking about that first game which happened today, so I think Sandipani also will have a thing to say, or not just a thing, quite a lot of things. I think his emotions will be poured out as we move into that first game. I think that's about it from the Delhi Capitals versus Lucknow Super Giants game. I think Delhi will want to forget this. Now, net run rate is something which has gone ahead straight away. I know it's too early to talk about it, but ultimately, that's what ruled them out. That's what possibly ruled them out last season as well. Though they came very close, but I would say net run rate, you don't mind it nowadays, but when it comes to the latter end of the tournament, then you look back, oh my god, if that game would have been a 20-run loss, a 10-run loss, it wouldn't have affected us a lot more. A 53-run loss is a mega loss. So that's something they would want to put it right behind their back and just focus on the next hurdle, and that's going to be very important for them. I know this is a big loss, but I think Lucknow Super Giants will be flying high, top of the table, sitting much comfortable at this point, and they'll be feeling they are just kicked off from where they left off last season, and they would want to make the Lucknow ground into a fortress, because Rahul was asked that question in the toss whether you want to make this into a fortress, and he was saying that we have not played a single game over here. We are starting on the equal level footing as the Delhi Capitals team as well, and he wasn't wrong in saying that. But now they would have identified what this pitch is all going to be about. They want to play more spinners maybe come the next game. I thought this pitch will only get worse if they're going to use the same surface. There are also white soil pitches, but if the red soil pitches are going to turn quite a lot, that's something which you can expect from the Lucknow pitch. Even the India New Zealand game, you saw quite a bit of turn which took place from that pitch. So if the white soil pitch, the black soil pitch, sorry, not the white soil pitch, the black soil pitch, if you're going to use a black soil pitch, I think that's going to be playing out much better. I'd really like to see how they go about it in the coming games. And if Lucknow are going to make that into their fortress, it's going to be an interesting place for traveling teams. And as an RCB fan, I really dread playing in Lucknow because that pitch looks pretty bad until unless you have a lot of spinners in your team. Chennai will love playing there, and maybe this could be one of those pitches like Chepauk where they really use a spin bowling to their ability and have a hit the quick bowler to trouble them with pace as well. That's about it from this game. Let's talk about the first game. What a game for Punjab to start off with, because they went out there to explode with the bat. And you were right, Sandeepani. I mean, you did call out they'll have a surprising season, but that's the normal Punjab thing, right? Every time you're like, oh my god, this could be Punjab season, they let you down. But Prab Simran Singh, I thought he played a beautiful cameo. Let's start off with him. What did you make of that? He really took the attack on to KKR first up, setting the momentum for Punjab to then build on.
Yeah, I had called it in the pre-match or the pre-season live that Punjab Kings were the teams to look out for, or the underdogs to watch out for, because a lot of people were sort of not expecting this from Punjab. But then again, that is like you mentioned, it is expected from Punjab because 15 years they haven't done anything of much recognition as well. So yeah, talking about Prab Simran's innings, I think it was an impact innings. The way he got out, he will be very disappointed, kicking himself to get out like that at that point, because he was taking the attack on the bowlers. Umesh Yadav, Tim Saudi, in the first 2 overs they had scored 23. Dhawan hadn't faced a delivery, and then he got out down the leg side of a delivery which I think Chris Gale and Scott Styris, everybody was joking about the way Tim Saudi got that wicket. But nonetheless, I think Prab Simran Singh, if he continues to do this for Punjab Kings, and I think this will be the motto for Punjab Kings. They batted like this last time around, but the only cause of concern over here is they don't fall like a sort of a house of cards like they fell in a lot of innings last season. There were lots of collapses that led to Punjab Kings downfall. You always know that with Nathan Ellis, Kagizor Awada, Arshdeep Singh, Rahul Chahar, you have a bowling lineup, and Sam Curran as well, the most expensive player. You have a bowling lineup that is second to none, but you have to utilize sort of that batting resource that you have in the form of Shikhar Dhawan. I think the batting is. I mentioned Rajapaksha would play a huge role, and I think going forward, the
Yeah.
youngsters Jitesh Sharma and Prabsimran Singh, if these youngsters can continue clicking on and scoring these cameos and contributing with these cameos continuously or in a continuous manner, I think Punjab Kings are definitely going to make it to the playoffs. But with how much efficiency will they be able to do this in pitches which are more difficult to bat on is my cause of concern, because we realize it was a bit we were a bit skeptical. I mean, I was a bit skeptical about how they will start this season, but the way they started batting this season, it was clear indication that this is how they are going to bat, and they are going to follow this all out attack policy. Once Liam Livingston is back, I think the team only gets stronger. Nathan Ellis will make way
Well,
for
I
yeah.
reckon Sikandar Raza will make way for someone like for Liam Livingston, and
Yeah, and
Nathan
Nathan
Ellis will
Ellis will
make
make way
way
for Rabada. Yeah,
Kagisura Bada, and that's going to make them even more potent because I thought
exactly.
Sam Curran was slightly jaded, especially when it comes to his bowling. Gurbaz really took the attack on, that's why he really was put in the back foot. But then Arshdeep, man, Arshdeep really looks like once again their kingpin in the bowling, picking up wickets when it mattered the most. And that really turned the things for Punjab, because if Arshdeep wouldn't have picked up those wickets, Kolkata were definitely in with a chance. I know Kolkata were still in with a chance over the latter end, but that's something which we will talk about. Now that's something which it's going to be very interesting, because for me, I thought Punjab, they always started well, right? And now under Trevor Bellis, it's going to be interesting because he's a renowned coach. Now you're talking about, when you compare him with Anil Kumble had limited experience with Team India. Now you're talking about a World Cup winning coach who set up an ideology and philosophy with England to change their white ball generation forever. Now that's the experience with which he has come into this team. And Wasim Jafar is an excellent batting coach as well. They could have gotten. Now I really feel Shikhar Dhawan is going to be that foil for that team who's going to hold one innings, hold one end up, who's going to play in his own way, maybe 120, 130 striker, and that's what you want. When you have Rajapaksha, when you have Prabsimran Singh, if he's going to bat like what he did today, because that's something which he does in the domestic circuit, right? For
I mean,
Punjab,
Jitesh Sharma as well. That 21 run of 10 balls, I think that was a cameo that continued the innings forward, and that allowed Punjab to build to a total from where they could accelerate and score 191. They would have been disappointed definitely not to get 200 after how
yeah,
Rajapaksha and Dhawan were going. But I
yeah.
think the Knight Riders pulled things back, and obviously after that, what happened, everybody knows. The
I mean, we will talk
lights
about it,
play
but
became the player of the match. Yeah.
I mean, you reckon so? It would have come down to those lights, because
Yeah,
ultimately you
definitely.
guys were
I mean, it's a
struggling.
shame. It's a shame. Yeah, let me just get out with my rant first of all. It's a shame that an Indian Punjab Cricket Association playing like we are hosting. They are hosting the IPL after a hiatus of 2 years,
Three
almost
years,
2 years,
3 years,
three
3 years.
years getting to host an IPL game, you have bad lights. Bad lights is holding you back. When this time around there are severe penalties on slow over rates as well. You have the luxury of wasting 20 odd minutes for bad lights. And I think that was pathetic. And I think the Cricket Association should be, the rights should be revoked, I think, for hosting. What was this? I mean, you're hosting an IPL game, the biggest tournament in India, domestic circuit. If you don't have your lights ready for the biggest game of the year, when do you expect to put those lights on? I mean, it was baffling. Rain, well, rain you can't stop, and the rain was
Yeah.
drizzling from a long time. You could see in the screen as well. In the last 2 overs, it was raining.
Do you reckon we should
But
blame the global
yeah,
warming as well?
no, not global warming, but definitely Punjab Kings. I mean, the ground staff and everybody, the administration. What was going on with them? Only they know. At the
Sandeep Mani
first
has
innings break
called
was
out,
40 minutes
guys.
long.
Sandeep Mani has called
Yeah.
out the administration of the Punjab Cricket Association to be answerable. It's been pathetic. As a KKR fan, you could feel the boiling blood right there, and that is straight out of heart. You don't get that more candid. And Sandeep Mani has called out, guys. Sandeep Mani is absolutely disgusted with that. But let's talk about KKR, right? Because
Yeah.
would you be happy with that batting performance from KKR? Because that was very, very below par batting performance. You still let your top order collapse, something which you saw last season. Am I gonna see a new opening pair next match? Because are they gonna continue from where they left off last season? Because I really thought Venkatesh Iyer should be opening the batting. Sending in Mandeep Singh, I was very skeptical. They could have still used better players, but not having Venkatesh player even as in your starting 11 is not a good idea because he still gives you that option as a bowler. He still gives you that extra bowling option. He's not a bad bowler. He can still bowl some of those. He can still pick up those wickets here and there. I thought Varun Chakravarti was excellent. He just got back into form. He likes playing on flatter surfaces, something which you saw in the UAE leg as well. When surfaces are flatter, that's where his pace with the spin really comes in handy. I thought Narayan was targeted by the Punjab batters and he really went for a lot of runs. Though he picked up a wicket towards the left end, but that was plenty to even control. It was damage control by then. But I personally thought the way in which Varun Chakravarti bowled, he did not have anybody to support. And now death bowling is still a concern for the Kolkata Knight Riders because Shardul Thakur is a decent bowler, but he can go for plenty of runs.
Yeah, I think death bowling with, if you see Tim Saudi, Umesh Yadav, and Shardul Thakur, none of them are death bowlers. I was expecting Russell to get like loosen his arms and get in 1 over or so. And I totally agree with you. I think where they went wrong is they could have used Mandeep Singh as an impact substitute and substituted him at the end of the first innings and brought in a Varun Chakravarti, substituted Varun Chakravarti instead of Mandeep Singh and not Venkatesh Iyer. Because Venkatesh Iyer gives you that luxury of having that seventh bowling option who can come in and bowl 1 or 2 overs towards the death as well. So I think death overs is going to be a concern, but you will
And what
have
did you
these
make
mystery
of
spinners.
Anukul Roy coming at number 6? Because firstly, Mandeep Singh, his time in IPL is almost over. I mean, we've seen Mandeep Singh over a lot
No,
of
I think
years.
Mandeep Singh. I know exactly why Mandeep Singh got a match today. I think because of it was his home ground. He plays domestic cricket for Punjab,
But you reckon that is one reason to ever get a match?
and I
Because let's
think
talk
he
about
no. I
it's
think he was in
IPL
good
game
nick
after
as
all.
well. I
I
think he
mean,
was in
I,
good nick.
I still don't agree to that, Sandeepani, because it does not make any sense to me. For me,
I mean, obviously
Neelakant
Chandrakant.
and Jagdishan, when you have Jagdishan in your team, you went for Mandeep Singh is the most baffling thing I could have asked. Anybody could ask for. Number one,
Surprising. I
being
mean,
that
not just that. I think Anukul Roy's inclusion to the playing 11 as well. Both the calls were baffling, but that is how Chandrakant
Anukul
Pandit
Roy,
operates.
I know. I mean, I understand that's an out of the box thinking and whatever you want to call about it. Anukul Roy should have been given a chance to bowl as well. When you were going for plenty of runs, why didn't you give him? He's a very decent bowler. He's an excellent fielder for sure. He's been the designated 12th man throughout his IPL career. But you talk about his bowling prowess, it can be used. Him coming in number 3 was something out of the box, something which they tried with Narayan in the earlier years of IPL. Maybe to try just to up the ante, take the attack onto the bowlers.
Nothing
His
wrong there.
wicket was
Nothing
just
wrong there. Yeah.
nothing wrong with that. If it would have come off, we would have all appreciated that. But what I'm talking about is Anukul Roy, Venkatesh Iyer, both could have been used as bowlers as well, especially in a high scoring game. These are the bowlers who break the partnerships.
Yeah, but you have to understand that it was Nitish Rana's first game as a captain. I think he was shuffling around those five bowling options only. I think it was surprising to say the least because if you are going on to concede 191, I think the scorecard should read at least 6 or 7 bowlers were used. Instead, you had five bowlers being used. Narayan went for 40. Shardul Thakur went for 43, and I think Tim Saudi went for 54 of his 4 overs or 53 of his 4 overs. So I think those 12 overs went on to cost KKR dearly. Umesh Yadav bowled well. Varun Chakravarti was excellent, like you mentioned. So I think they could have employed a Russell, 1 over of Russell, 1 over of Anukul Roy. I think they used him in the last season as well, and he was predominantly used as a bowling all rounder. He is a bowling all rounder. He's a fielder. We all know about that, but. The left arm spin could have been something that could have upset the momentum, but with two left-handers dominating, I think that is why Nitish Rana opted not to use Anukul Roy at that moment when both Shikhar Dhawan and Rajapaksa were going strong. And then Sam Curran came in. So this Punjab Kings lineup has a lot of left-handers. So
I was just
you
looking at
couldn't.
Kolkata Knight Riders lineup as well. If you talk about the top 6, you see already 4 left-handers in the middle order, and that's a lot of left-handers as well. You talk about Anukul Roy, Venkatesh Iyer, Nitish Rana, Rinku Singh. Now that is not a great thing to have as well. That's where maybe
But
off
no, I
spinners can
think
be tried.
I think Anukul Roy, it was a one of a chance because you won't see Chandrakant Pandit every day going in with Anukul Roy as your floater. KKR
Yeah.
can even go in with a Shardul Thakur or a Narayan as a floater as well. We saw how well they were timing the balls, and that shot from Shardul Thakur of the first ball that he played of Sam Curran, I think that was the shot of the tournament so far for me. The way he just jabbed it for a six, that was a pleasing sight to see. So I think Shardul Thakur, Narayan can be used as a floater as well. And you never know. Tim Saudi, Umesh Yadav, KKR, all the players can come in and tong the ball. So
I mean, that's a
it,
decent thing to
it's
have.
it's
That's a very good thing to have, actually, especially when you're playing in Eden Gardens, when you need a longer batting order, and if you want to play in a certain way, you can go into play in that certain ways, isn't it? Play with certain amount of template, try to take the attack onto the opposition, and that's why I think KKR can use their resources even better. That's why I
And
thought someone like
exactly
Neil.
why I was so upset with the 4 overs that were not completed. I mean,
I mean,
46 of 4 looks difficult.
that's why you reckon someone like a Neelakanta Jagdish instead of Mandeep Singh would make a lot more sense. He's an experienced captain. He can bat at 130 odd every game, and then others can bat around him, play it a certain way as well, play at a certain template. I would really want the Kolkata team to play an aggressive approach. I don't think they should be really toying around with the bowlers and just milking the singles. They are a good enough team to take the attack on, bat at a run rate
They
of
won't
9
be
to
doing that as
9.5.
well. And I think you can expect out of the 14 games that they will play, you can expect this sort of collapses where they lose 3 wickets in the power play
I mean,
in
that's
at
something
least
which you
five
saw
or six
last
of the games.
season.
Yeah,
That's
not
what you saw
last season.
last season.
That's something you have been seeing with KKR for a long time now. Unless like after Gautam Gambhir and they did not have that crystalline Gautam Gambhir combination going around at the top. Once I think from 2018 or 2019 onwards, once Narayan started to open the innings regularly 2017 2018, from then onwards KKR have been like this itself. They go on play that all out attacking game, but right now they have the luxury of doing that because they have the cushion of a batting order that deepens and bats till number 10, number 11. So that is something that they can afford. But I totally agree with you. Jagdishan, when KKR bought Jagdishan for that steal of a prize in the auction, I was almost guaranteed. I was sure that with so many all rounders in KKR's team, they are going to go with Jagdishan as their keeper and not a Rahmanullah Gurbaz or a Liton Das. But both the players, Liton Das and Rahmanullah Gurbaz, are explosive batters. And I think they decided to go in with one of the two. I think when Liton
I
Das
would
comes
really like
back,
to see Rahmanullah Gurbaz play because even if Liton Das comes, he's going to be available for 22 days. I know he's a phenomenal player, but then Rahmanullah Gurbaz is an X factor about him. On days he clicks,
definitely.
he can win a match for you single handedly. Even today, if Rahmanullah Gurbaz would have batted for 35 balls, or let's talk about 32 balls at least, double the balls as he faced today, he would have scored double the runs as well. He would have scored at least a 50, then or 50 or 60 runs, and that would have really turned entirety of the complex of the KKR batting attack, and you would have been talking about KKR winning today. Maybe that would have really helped them to go slightly more ahead. We would not have been talking about the lights or anything else.
Yeah, definitely. I think talking about the pitch, just talking about talking about the Punjab pitch as well. I think it was a bit surprising for me to see 190 odd runs getting scored, and it was a flat deck at Mohali. You would expect there would be something for the Pacers at least, and there was swing in the first over that Umesh Yadav bowled, but nothing afterwards. It was a flat. It was on the slower side for sure, but it was a flat deck. And I think another huge concern for the KKR team would be their uh, approach against the short delivery. We saw both the openers get out of no, not Rahmanullah Gurbaz.
Just reminding you, last year 51% of the dismissals were of short pitch bowling. You saw against Sunrise, you saw against Mumbai Indians when Bumrah picked up a 5 wicket haul as well. It was all short deliveries. You could have spoken about Shreyas Iyer struggling with short pitch deliveries, but then Nitish Rana, even Venkatesh Iyer, a lot of these batters do tend to struggle against quick short pitch balls onto their body, isn't it?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, exactly. And I think Venkatesh Iyer got out to a short pitch delivery and I think both Venkatesh Iyer and Andrew Russell got out at the wrong time as well. I think if they could have batted for two more overs with the DLS method getting into enactment, I think KKR would have been ahead if they wouldn't have lost those 2 wickets in the last 2 overs. But they had to get score. I mean, 15-20 runs of the last 7-8 balls to stay ahead of the ball game, and I think they did not manage to do that. So I think not just blame on the Punjab Punjab administration, but yeah, short pitch delivery has been a huge concern for KKR. Now Shreyas Iyer is gone, and still KKR are facing an issue with the short pitch delivery. It's a recurrent issue. I mean, all the players have it. All the players in the KKR unit have it. Mandeep Singh struggles against short pitch deliveries.
Yeah.
Nitish Rana, you have name it. Venkatesh Iyer, Rinku Singh is also not comfortable with the short pitch deliveries.
Yeah.
And I think today was a very good example. I think it was good that at least the side boundaries were long enough, so we had that competition where you couldn't just log and finish the games. And then the shot where how both Rajapaksha and Rinku Singh got out, I think both the balls would have cleared the boundary if it would have been any other
Yeah.
ground in the country right now.
Yeah,
So
absolutely.
that way, I think I'll give kudos to the Punjab department as well. I think I've spoken so much flag about them. I should sort of recover a bit.
I
cover
mean,
it up a bit.
to be very honest, Mohali is one of the biggest grounds of this year's
Yeah.
tournament. When you talk about grounds, for example, Lucknow is also pretty decent. But I thought yesterday, even in Gujarat, the square boundaries looked very short to me. So on that particular reason, I'd really give to Mohali for still being the longer boundaries. Just gives that extra bit of freedom to for bowlers also to stay in the game. But then when you have power pack batting attack like Rajapaksha, then you have players like Shikhar Dhawan really
I mean,
taking on. Then you
Gurbaz,
can't really.
Shardul Thakur, Nara, and Russell, they were making it look easy. They were making the
I mean, they
sixes
are
look
power
easy.
hitters,
Yeah.
and especially you talk
Yeah.
about Russell. Russell is of a different gravy altogether. But then,
And
what do
just
you
talk about
expect?
the just if you just talk about this point, if you just bring back the last game, Lucknow Super Giants versus Delhi Capitals, I think Lucknow Super Giants with that West Indian power, Kyle
Now,
Mayers and Nicholas Puran,
exactly. Now,
hit
now, now,
16
that's what
sixes.
worries me for Kolkata Knight Riders as well. The Russell struggles against short pitch bowling. It's now a given that any bowler who's going to bowl to Russell is going to bowl short to him. Now, you're going to be playing Lucknow Super Giants. You're going to be playing now. I think next match against RCB in Eden Gardens, isn't it? Eden Gardens
Yeah,
short boundaries are
Eden
still.
Gardens first. Yeah.
I think in Eden Gardens, Nitish Rana will top it down there some of them and go for the sixers. But I'm talking about games where you're going to travel away in bigger grounds when you
So
have
will Saif
quality or
Duplessis.
high pace bowlers where you're going to be targeted with a lot more short pitch bowling. How are you going to counter that now? Now that's a very important facet. Now you know it's just now one player. 6 out of their top 7 struggles against short pitch bowling, and that is not a good stat to have.
Yeah, exactly. I think that is something. I think it is up to the batters how they want to tackle and get over that short pitch delivery. But I think what the KKR management can do from their side and what Chandrakant Pandit can do from his side, I think he will do that. KKR are not going to have a fixed batting order this time around as well. A lot of people were speculating with Chandrakant Pandit coming in, they are going to have a specific batting order. But I'm quite sure that they are going to play around with that order, especially because you have so many floaters in your ranks and you have proper batters. So just to upset the rhythm of the bowler, if you can have a Narayan or a Shardul Thakur come in at number 4, number 5, hit those short pitch deliveries out of the boundary for just 2 or 3 instances, and then the bowlers will correct their lines. And I think that is something we will get to see from Chandrakant Pandit as a tactic. KKR will employ this in the future as well, especially against teams like Lucknow Super Giants, because they have Lucknow Super Giants as well as I think the other team which I was really
Sunrisers Hyderabad.
Sunrisers Hyderabad. God, those Indian quartet. I think it's
Yeah,
going to be difficult to face them, and especially
yeah.
I think Rahmanullah Gurbaz was caught. He got out of a nothing delivery from Nathan Ellis. I think it was
Yeah.
just the pace that got to him.
Was
So
it the pace or was it just him trying to give that room and he lost it completely? He had no idea what to do.
it was surprising how he got out.
It was
But
against the
nonetheless,
runner play. He
take
was looking
nothing.
very good though.
Yeah, take nothing away from Punjab Kings right now, because I think putting on 192. If the Punjab players, if the Punjab batters continue to perform like this, I think they are going to end up on
I
the winning note.
also felt one factor from Punjab which you don't resonate with them. They seemed a lot calm in terms of their approach, in terms of the way they were batting, in terms of the way they were on the field as well. Over the years with Punjab, you see that sense of tension in almost every player. I think that has to do a lot with Shikhar Dhawan's character as a captain, Shikhar Dhawan's character as a human being as well. Something which you can expect. He's a fun-loving guy. He will have fun with the junior most player to the senior most player. It doesn't matter. The age is just not a barrier for Shikhar Dhawan. He knows how to carry a team. You've seen that with Team India as well in the absence of senior players. How he was able to manage that group together. There's a lot of fun in that team. There's a lot of calmness in that team, and that's a huge positive to be very honest. And that's something which you will see from Shikhar Dhawan. I'm not validating him to be a good captain. It's still yet to be proven. He's still yet to be tested as well. As you get to the business end and the mid part of the tournament, that's where the captaincy of Shikhar Dhawan will be tested. But on the other end of the spectrum, I felt Nitish Rana was under pressure a lot, especially while fielding, especially while making those bowling changes. It just looked like Nitish Rana was taken aback with that approach by Punjab Kings, wasn't he?
Yeah, he was a bit. I mean, you are playing your first game as a captain and a lot of pressure. And I think Nitish Rana was one of those players who haven't played an international game and yet managed to captain a franchise. I think it's the first for team,
Yeah.
first in the IPL. So a lot of pressure on that. But I think he could have, he did a good enough job. And you can't criticize someone based on their performance in the first game. If this continues for 3 or 4 games, he missed quite a few things. Definitely not bringing in a six bowling option when two of the batters were going on. I agree with Anukul Roy's point, but I think Anukul Roy because of the two left-handers. But you could have definitely brought in one over from Russell, unless he's not 100% fit. You never know with Russell. but still there, and I think there are a few tactical calls here and there aside. I think he did a good enough job, especially the way they restricted Punjab Kings to a total less than 200, because the way Punjab were cruising along at 120 at the end of 12 overs or something like that, they were meant to score in excess of 200. But I think the spinners did their job. Sunil Narayan in the last over as well, and Varun Chakravarti was outstanding. His love for picking up Dhawan's wicket is a new love story right now. Got him out for the third time, I think. This was the third time that Varun Chakravarti dismissed Dhawan. Dhawan is never comfortable playing against Varun Chakravarti. It's a new matchup that we will ponder upon. But having said that,
Absolutely.
there are lots of positives from this game that KKR can take out, and lots and lots of positives that the Punjab Kings can take out. The captaincy is one of which Shikhar Dhawan has been an impressive captain whenever he has got the opportunity for India as well. I think he just flies under the radar because of the charisma which Rohit Sharma or a Virat Kohli, or the flair that a Virat Kohli or a Rohit Sharma brings while captaining. Shikhar Dhawan just flies under the radar. He's a calm captain. He's a calm player as well. So I think that way, I think Punjab Kings are doing all the right things, ticking all the right boxes. With
Yeah.
Rabada and Liam Livingston coming into the team, they will become a far more formidable side. And I think a lot of people will get their predictions wrong regarding their fortunes this season. But talking about KKR, I think even though there are quite a lot of positives, but I think this approach, this all-out attack approach that KKR have been adopting since 2019, 2020, this will win you 5 or 6 games out of 14 for sure. But to get that seventh or eighth win, you have to be a bit more consistent. You cannot have these sort of collapses every time and expect to win. But that is something that the management will look upon. And with the impact substitution, the batting getting deepened, I think there are certain room that all the teams can play with, so they can experiment a lot and experiment a bit at the start. And we will see how the team goes after 3 or 4 games, because that is when we will form a more valid sort of we can form a valid argument about a particular team.
I mean, that's interesting because I personally think Punjab always deceives us in a big way. They start off the tournament brilliantly, then somewhere down, even last year, do you remember that game which they had against RCB? Yeah, it was against RCB, I think. They chased on 205. It was Raja Paksha once again who took down
Yeah.
Hasaranga, and I was like, okay, is it Punjab's here? But then you know what happens. So I think we're still too early to jump the gun. One game or even 4 games don't settle it. I'll talk about Punjab at the end of 8 games or 9 games, where they stand, the business end of the tournament, or like in the mid stage of the tournament, where they really go.
Yeah, fair enough. I was just talking about the tactical tactics that they use, because once they have the full squad, I think they will play in with that impact sub rule. Because I think both Punjab Kings and Delhi Capitals got their impact subs wrong in a dreadful manner. Rishi Dhawan coming in and bowling that one over, going for 14 runs, and Delhi Capitals playing in Aman Khan and bringing him in at number 7. Not good. But I think the other two teams, Gotham was brilliant with his role. He was player, the impact sub player of the day was Krishnappa Gautam for sure. And I think Venkatesh Iyer deserves to be in the playing 11. Not a impact sub material, but his innings of 34 was crucial at that juncture as well. So all in all,
Interesting.
a great day of cricket. Two beautiful games, and apart from that bad light situation, two great conclusions as well.
I mean, I would say now talking about tomorrow's game. Let's go into tomorrow's games as well before we end this live today. Tomorrow, big day for Rajasthan Royals and Sunrisers Hyderabad coming into the picture for the first time. RCB are taking on Mumbai Indians. I'm pretty nervous about that game, but let's talk about tomorrow's first game. Isn't it? Day game, not an easy game for at all, especially in this weather. Until unless you're playing in Chandigarh, because in Chandigarh the weather was 21, 22 degrees Celsius. But
Yeah.
when we talk about southern India, when we talk about Rajasthan, it's going to be heat over there. So that's where I think Rajasthan Royals versus Sunrisers are the two most balanced team of this tournament, locking horns against each other. What do you expect out of this game?
I think it is going to be a great game, because Rajasthan Royals, after that season that they had as runners up last time around, they will be high on confidence. But I think on paper, we all know Sunrisers Hyderabad are the team to beat. It will be interesting to see how they go about with this new formation, and how Mayank Agarwal goes about as a captain. Lots of things to prove for Mayank Agarwal and the Sunrisers Hyderabad, because it's so much talk and so much hype about this Sunrisers Hyderabad team. On the other hand, Sanju Samson will be. This is his opportunity, man. This IPL is his opportunity to cement that place for the ODI World Cup. he can do that. He has to have a great IPL and then just bank on the selectors and see if they finally accept him. So
I'm
great,
I'm 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 very
very
excited to see
interesting
both
effort
these
tomorrow.
teams play, to be honest, because tomorrow there's
Yeah.
no Aiden Markram, so Bhuvneshwar Kumar will be leading the Sunrisers team, but they can still be a phenomenal unit because they have Glenn Phillips and Harry Brook who can get going. Rahul Tripathi there, Mayank Agarwal there. Oh my God, I'm really excited to see this team go. On the other end for Rajasthan, Joss Butler, Sanju Samson, Yashasvi Jaiswal. That top three is a scary top three as well. That's going to be the deciding factor.
Would you
Whether it's
have
going to be
Devdutt
Sunrise.
Padikkal batting in at number 4, or would you rather prefer a Riyan Parag?
I would not have Devdutt Padikkal playing in that team, to be honest. If you were
Yeah.
playing him at number four, he played at negative impact. I think I'm going to show you the stat where the impact which Devdutt Padikkal had last season was extremely negative. I know he scored 300 plus once in the tournament, but was it good enough? Was it good enough for you to win
But
that
guess
tournament?
what, Abel? I am quite sure we are going to get to see Devdutt Padikkal in that playing 11
You talk about
when the
last
team
season,
is
right?
announced.
You talk about
Yeah.
last season, 122 strike rate, scored 376 once. But 122 is a negative impact if you're playing at number four. And if you're talking about Jaiswal, I know Jaiswal had a very, very average season, but the impact whenever he got going was much higher than what Padikkal was doing whenever he got going as well. So that is what you have to look into. You have two batters in your top three who can strike at 150 or in excess of 150 in Sanju Samson, Josh Butler. Then you have a Hetmar who can strike at 160. Now you have Riyan Parak who was striking at 140 or 145 to 150 in the side Mustaq Ali Trophy. I think Riyan Parak is a much improved player from what you saw last season, and Riyan Parak should be batting at number 4 for this team. And it's so unfair on Riyan Parak if you're going to play him as a finisher. That's not his role. He plays for Assam at number 3 and number 4, and you're slotting him at number 6 in an IPL game. That's just unfair on Riyan Parak. So I think Riyan Parak should be batting at number 4. Then for me, it's the interesting part. Who do you have? Who can you bring in? That's going to be very interesting because if you look at their squad, if you look at Rajasthan Royals squad, they have options, right? This is one team who can play with three overseas players and make the fourth one as their impact substitute as well. That is the leverage they have, especially going into the season. And that's going to be very interesting for me to see as well. How they use the impact substitute rule. Not a lot of teams have cracked that impact substitute rule. But then if Rajasthan Royals can really make the use of it, they're going to have a really good season. Now, if you talk about that, if you look at that squad, you can understand they have enough all-round options. They can use someone like Akash Vashish there. I know the other particular is so good a player that you cannot ignore him from the 11, but he's not creating any good for you. That's where maybe try and to go in with someone like an Akash Vashish, or try someone like Joe Root as an impact player whenever you're batting there. It's not a bad option at all. Or Donovan Ferreira to use when you're batting. You can put a lineup which has three Indian picks, but then maybe once you start batting, you can bring in someone like a Joe Root at number 4, or maybe Donovan Ferreira. I would like to see Donovan Ferreira bat at number 4 for them more than anyone else.
Yeah, definitely. I think after the performances that he put up in the South Africa T20 League this time around, I think Donovan Ferreira is a very exciting candidate to watch out for, and I think he'll if given an opportunity, he can turn out to be a Tristan Stubbs or a Devil Brevis. That whatever
Yeah.
they did for Mumbai Indians last time around. But having said that, I know Devdutt Padikkal quality player, not a fit in this team, but definitely will get to see him in that playing 11 tomorrow, because I know for a fact that Rajasthan Royals are going to stick to their winning combination, and with Jason Holder not being available for tomorrow's game, I think both Riyan Parag and Riyan Parag will play as a finisher for sure, and I think they are going to go in with Devdutt Padikkal at number 4 as well.
I mean, that's one interesting thing, but I really don't want that. But when you talk about
Me
Sunrisers
neither. Me
Hyderabad,
neither. Yeah.
when you talk about Sunrisers Hyderabad, who do you see replacing Aiden Markram tomorrow?
I think tomorrow, okay, Heinrich Klassen is also not available. So you can have a Glenn Phillips, you can have a Harry Brooks in that middle order, and I think they can tomorrow go in with that impact sub rule, they can go in with three foreign players and bring in that impact sub rule and get a foreign player for that impact sub rule, because so far we have not seen any games where the teams have gone in with anything in less than four foreign players. So nobody had the option, even though in the listing it is mentioned that you have a foreign player in that impact sub option, but you can't really use it once unless you have three or lesser foreign players in your team.
Exactly, exactly.
That
I
is
don't know
something we should
why is
understand.
that been done throughout. I was pretty shocked as well when even KKR and Punjab did that. I was like, why are they doing this? It's of absolute no use. It's just like filling a team or filling a spot
No, no,
just
I
for
think
sake of.
it's something mandatory. I guess you have to have four Indian and one foreign player. You can keep as an
Why is that? You
impact
can't
substitute.
use him. You
It's
can't use
yeah,
him.
it's a very very baseless rule. I found out today and I was really surprised.
Oh, that's just rubbish. But I was watching the Sunrise side of
So
a
no
practice game.
Marco, so no Marco Jansen tomorrow as well, right?
Marco Jansen, is he going to be playing? I think no Marco Jansen as well. I
So I
think they
think
can
they can
try.
go in with Fazalak Faruqi.
They can go in with Faslak Faruqi, and I would like to see how Vivran Sharma or Samrat or Sanveer Singh comes into that team. They also invested heavily on Mayank Dagar there, because Mayank
Yeah,
Dagar for me is a fantastic player. He came back. He was in the radar for the longest period of time in 2016 after the Under 19 World Cup. But now
yeah,
once again he's after the phenomenal season in Himachal Pradesh, and he's back into the reckoning. Upendra Yadav is a wicket keeping option, but I
yeah.
personally think I would like to see someone of them, or maybe Abdul Samad as well, the old tested warhorse. Give him that. I know he's just 22 years old, but I'm talking
Yeah,
about him
but
as
I
he's
think
played 10 years of
Abdul
IPL.
Samad has been severely misutilized by Sunrisers Hyderabad. They have shown immense faith on him, and at the same time, they have severely misutilized Abdul Samad, because
Yeah,
if you put in a confidence in Abdul Samad to be one of your retained players in that mega auction. And then
yeah,
you go ahead and don't play him at all. And whenever you play him, you don't give him the ball, or sometimes you don't put him to bat at number six, number seven. I think he can come in at number five, number four. He has that attacking game where he can explode and be that impact player. And
yeah.
also with the ball as well. I think Abdul Samad, whenever he balled, he could provide you with wickets in conditions which are good for spinners. So I think the way Sunrisers have used Abdul Samad is absolutely rubbish. But at the same time, they have shown immense faith in him, and he's an youngster. He's a youngster, so they are probably grooming him for the future.
Um, you didn't mention about Abdul Samad, but what really worries me is a youngster at the age of 21, 22. I hope that's his real age, but if he is that age at all, what I really want to see from him is make most out of him, play him at number 5. But now in this batting order, you're not going to see Abdul Samad. Even once Aiden Markham returns, you're pretty much sure what the batting order is going to look like. Until unless there's an injury which goes drastic turn or against that, maybe as an impact substitute, Abdul Samad can be used a lot more wiser in this team. He still got that power game, right? And someone like even a Sanveer Singh, and even Vivran Sharma. Vivran Sharma also hails from Jammu and Kashmir. These two players, I would like to see Sunrisers Hyderabad use them with more potency. And when we talk about the bowling, I would like to see Karthik Tyagi used, because Natarajan last season was extremely underwhelming. And that's where I really want to see somewhere like Karthik Tyagi really go and make an impact. He's done that in the previous season with someone like Rajasthan Royals. And for him to sit on the bench, I think that's just unfair. I mean, he's too good a talent to be sitting on the bench.
That's the thing with Sunrisers Hyderabad, right? They bring in all these talents. They have immense faith in these talents, but they don't use them in the games. They just put them out there, and you had Natarajan initially as well. I remember when Siddharth Kaul was going well for them. I mean, Natarajan was hardly used to get a game in 2019-2020 season. And then you had the likes of Umran Malik growing in strides, and Kartik Tyagi, who was a huge success in Rajasthan Royals, brought into Sunrisers Hyderabad, hardly got a game. And I think that is you may say that they are grooming the talent for the future and stuff like that. But why do you need to groom somebody who was in great form? You could have utilized his form at that point. And if you have a bowling contingent like the Sunrisers Hyderabad, where you have all the players that you need for in that pace department, you can actually use them well. So I would totally agree with you on that, especially with the impact sub rule coming in. I won't mind if they go in with a batting heavy side in that playing 11, and then later like after their batting is done, they can bring in a Kartik Tyagi or a Natarajan as well, play both of them as an impact sub. I mean, both the players get to play that way. So
Interesting.
that that impact sub allows that luxury of having that extra bowler or extra batting in your lineup as well, right? So they can use
I mean,
that.
tomorrow's game is going to be interesting to see how they approach it. They've got multiple options. To be honest, the best team on the paper. There's another game tomorrow. It is the RCB taking on Mumbai Indians. I think it's a very interesting game because the game is going to be played in Chinnaswamy Stadium. You're talking about a Mumbai Indians team without Jasprit Bumrah, already slightly depleted, but you're talking about the powerhouse in their batting: Surya Kumar Yadav, Cameron Green, Tim David, Tilak Varma, Ishan Kishan if he gets going, or Rohit Sharma. That is a scary top six for any team to face against. Then they have an impact substitute rule where they can use Ramandeep Singh and also Arshad Khan.
Yeah, the batting has never been Mumbai Indians' problem, right? It's their bowling, it's their death overs concern. Even though Jofra Archer is back, but this time around there is no Bumrah. Last time there was Bumrah and no Archer. This time there is Archer and no Bumrah. So if even if you
Last time
can,
they had Basil Thampi from Kerala, they got Sandeep Warrior from Kerala now.
yeah, an interesting pick there. Sandeep Warrior instead of Bumrah was a very interesting pick. And Sandeep Warrior was released by KKR, I guess, after the last
He
season
had
that
a
he
very
had.
underwhelming season.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
mean,
yeah.
he had a
But
very, very underwhelming
that is
season.
my problem with Mumbai Indians. I think that their death bowling is a huge concern, and Jofra Archer's form as well. I mean, Archer leading up to the IPL has not looked the Archer of the past. Hopefully, he can bring the Archer of the past in this season's IPL. And Mumbai
Yeah,
Indians would desperately need Archer to bring his A game. And even if Archer goes on to bring his A game, they would need ample support from the
yeah.
other end. Cameron Green, 17.5 crores, need to come in good for them. Need to come in good for them. They need bowlers, Kartikeya. They need bowlers who can support Archer or support a particular bowler. They need at least two or three bowlers contributing in every game. You can't
Yeah.
have one bowler stemming the run flow and players leaking runs from the other end. So batting will never be a concern for Mumbai
I mean, let's
Indians.
look at
And
last season
tomorrow,
how they went about, right? When you look
yeah,
at last season, you can
and
understand
just look
that
at
a
the
lot.
economy.
That's
Just
the
look at the
economy.
economy rate. Yeah.
There's really just Bumrah who's a standout. Murugan Ashwin to an extent, but not very impressive. But that economy rate is just not good enough. That's where they leaked a lot of runs. That one side was like a leaking pipe when the plumber called Bumrah was trying to fix it. It was still leaking. It was still leaking. It just exploded.
Exactly, and I think tomorrow as well. I think I am very skeptical about this Mumbai side. They did not do a lot of good deed in the auction. I think buying in
Yeah.
Cameron Green, like we saw today as well. I mean,
Yep.
18.5 crores on Sam Curran. He did come in, score, hit a six,
Yeah.
took the wicket of Russell. But still, if you talk about impact, I think he did not have a very good impact in that Punjab Kings game. And
Yeah.
similarly, I think a lot of pressure. There will be a lot of price tag pressure on Cameron
But
Green.
tomorrow's game, they should be okay. I mean, tomorrow is a nightmare for bowlers. Let me just put it right there.
Yeah.
Chinnaswamy Stadium, 55 meters square boundaries. You tell
But
me, man.
I would rather have a Mohammad Siraj in my team rather than what Mumbai Indians are going with tomorrow. They are probably
Mohammad
going to play.
Siraj?
Yeah, Mohammad Siraj for RCB. I mean, I'm saying that I
Yeah.
would rather have a Mohammad Siraj in my team rather than a Sandeep Warrior who is going to probably
Oh
play
yeah,
tomorrow.
absolutely. I mean, Mohammad Siraj is your
He'll,
ace bowler in your country, right? You're
yeah,
talking
yeah,
about
yeah.
the number three ODI bowler and
And
whatnot.
also they
So
have the likes of Harshal Patel who is a death over expert.
Asas, you were talking about him, but I think Arshal Patel also has come into terms with his weakness. I'm looking at an improved season from Arshal Patel as well. It's going to be an interesting game. It's a night game in Chinnaswamy.
I
Man,
will
looking
be
at
very
the
happy if Harshal Patel goes on to bowl 24 fast deliveries. If it does
It's not
not bowl a slow
happening.
delivery.
It's not happening. It's definitely not happening. You're talking about 24 slower ones, I'll accept it, and two fast balls, 22 slower balls and two fast balls. Harshal Patel bowling 24 seam up deliveries is not happening. His strongest suit is his slower balls, man. He gone to Team India just on his slower balls. Now, you're telling him to be not doing that? That's not fair. I mean, that's like telling Virat Kohli gone to the team for playing attacking cricket in the lower middle order. That's not the thing, right?
But I
So,
think tomorrow, I think both all the bowlers, like you said, will be tested. But I'm also very interested to see how Reece Topley will go because I think tomorrow he's going to concede quite a few runs, like most of the bowlers. And
yeah.
I personally feel Chinnaswamy is not the ground for bowlers like Reece Topley.
Chinnaswamy is not even
Probably,
the ground for RCB, man. I dread for RCB every time they step onto
I
Chinnaswamy.
think tomorrow what
Last
we can
3
do is we can both go to Cubbon Park and we can just wait for the balls
I mean,
flying our
fair
way.
enough. We staying in Bangalore. I think that's the best thing we can do. Go to Cubbon Park, wait outside. We'll see all the balls coming in. It's more like a nightmare. I don't even know what's going to happen to bowlers. There was a practice game by RCB. It was 200 odd runs. Michael Bracewell scored 100 there. So, I know Michael Bracewell is a decent
140.
batter.
Michael
Yeah,
Bristol scored a 140. He was on the verge of scoring. Like if he would have got in earlier, he could have scored a 200 as well.
yeah, absolutely. So it's just scary times out there, man. I'm just scared for the bowlers from all the teams who are traveling to Chinnaswamy, and I'm just gonna be like, okay, this is a batter's game. Chinnaswamy is that one stadium where you really feel like bowlers are of no use. That's why you have to give credit to Yuzvendra Chahal over the years, picking up 51 wickets in Chinnaswamy. No joke, blood. No joke at all. I mean, what a great bowler. We're gonna miss him tremendously tomorrow. There's no Asranga as well, so Let's hope for
But
a
having said that,
cracker.
I'll still say that RCB will be the favorites heading into tomorrow's
Of course,
game.
yeah,
And
yeah.
also in the first game, I would also like to say that Rajasthan will be the favorites. I mean,
Where?
on paper, obviously SRH, because tomorrow neither Aiden Markram, a lot of players, Akil Hussain, most of the foreigners from that Sunrisers Hyderabad unit are either from Marco Jansen will also not be available, either from South Africa or West Indies.
Yeah,
So both the teams not being available tomorrow, I think we'll get to see a deflated SRH unit only for tomorrow's game. I think they'll be
yeah.
back for the second games. So
Because
tomorrow I
tomorrow,
would rather go with Rajasthan Royals.
okay. I think the game is going to be played in Hyderabad as well. So that's interesting that you mentioned Rajasthan Royals start as favorites. But I think in Hyderabad as well, if you're having a good, it could be a flat track. You saw that in that one day match when New Zealand played India. If it's a flat track, you will see a lot of runs, and that's where I think Jaws Butler, if he gets a good track there with no swing on an afternoon game, he's gonna get going. Bhuvaneshwar Kumar is his only nemesis there. I think the last time around they played, Joss Butler scored 100 against Hyderabad in the opening game. It was the opening game of
Yeah.
IPL 2022 where they played in Pune, where Joss Butler was dropped, and then he went on to score a lot of runs. I don't know. I don't think if it's 100 or not, but yeah, that was a big game as well. So for me, I personally think if Rajasthan Royals get a good batting deck, I think Rajasthan Royals will be the favourites because Sanju Samson, Josh Butler, and Hetmeyer, that makes them potent. For Harry Brooks, he's still an unknown commodity. Glenn Phillips, he has got his troubles as well. But when you talk
And
about
I think
established
Glenn
players
Phillips
there,
blows really hot and cold in these sort of tournaments. I would really want a Glenn Phillips to have a great IPL because we have seen the hype that Glenn Phillips create. Outstanding fielder, great batsman, always ups the
but at
ante
the
of the
same
game.
time, for Rajasthan as well, there's a lot of issues, especially when it comes to the second fast bowler. Who's going to take that role up? Kuldeep Sen is the most preferred option, but
I
is he
think
going to be
Kuldeep Singh.
as consistent as Prasidh Krishna with that extra bounce which he can generate on some of the surfaces? That's going to be very interesting to see. So, guys, that's it from today. I mean, we've covered four games rather, the two games which happen in tomorrow's two games in depth. So we'll be coming tomorrow after the games, or let's see if we can do a watch along if possible. I mean, I'm not giving you any surety right now. If there's a watch along, we'll let you know. We'll post it everywhere so that you can join us. That's planned during the course of the IPL where we want to do watch alongs. If Geo doesn't put a strike on us, because Geo has been pretty strict with their rules, especially when it comes to doing watch alongs as well. So thank you guys. Have a good time.
Yeah,
Thank
I
you for
think
joining us. And
just to end on a high, I would request all the people from Punjab to switch on their lights and sleep peacefully. Good night, guys.
good night, guys. Good night. It was a pleasure taking.